In 5 weeks, they arrested 1,133 people. Every state, every major city. One coordinated strike. This is Project Shadowfire, the largest gang takedown in American history. And I'm going to show you exactly how they did it.
They're in every city, every state, operating in plain sight. Transnational criminal gangs, networks that stretch from the streets of Los Angeles to the jungles of Central America. These aren't just street gangs fighting over corners. They're sophisticated criminal enterprises. Drug trafficking organizations moving methamphetamine, heroin, and fentanyl into American communities. Human smuggling networks exploiting migrants at the border. Sex trafficking rings forcing victims into exploitation. MS-13, 18th Street, Sureños, names that terrorize communities. Gangs responsible for murders, racketeering, and violence across America. But in early 2024, the federal government decided enough was enough.
U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, and specifically their investigative arm, Homeland Security Investigations, or HSI. These are the federal agents responsible for investigating transnational crime. For months, HSI agents across the country had been building cases: surveillance, wiretaps, informants, intelligence from international partners. Every field office was tracking gang members in their jurisdictions. But the problem was coordination. A gang member arrested in Los Angeles could have associates in Chicago, Houston, New York, and Miami. Taking down one cell just caused the network to adapt. So HSI leadership made a decision: simultaneous enforcement action nationwide. Hit every known gang member and associate at the same time. No warning, no escape. They called it Project Shadowfire. Over 5 weeks, federal agents would coordinate with local police departments in every state. They identified 1,133 high-value targets, gang members involved in drug trafficking, human smuggling, violent crimes, and racketeering. Each target was assigned, each location scouted. Arrest teams were assembled, search warrants prepared. Every detail planned. The operation would run for 5 weeks, culminating in mid-March. The targets had no idea what was coming.
Week 1, first light. Across America, federal agents and local police move into position. Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, Houston, Dallas, Phoenix, San Antonio, every major city. Teams are synchronized. When one moves, they all move. Doors come down. In Los Angeles, HSI agents arrest a high-ranking MS-13 member wanted for murder. In New York, federal task force takes down an 18th Street shot caller connected to drug trafficking. Chicago, Houston, Phoenix, Miami, Atlanta. The arrests keep coming. Day 1 alone, over 200 arrests. As agents execute search warrants, the scale of these criminal operations becomes clear. Kilos of methamphetamine, heroin laced with fentanyl, assault weapons, stacks of cash from drug proceeds. But Project Shadowfire isn't a single-day operation. It's sustained pressure. Week 2. Week 3. More arrests, more evidence. Gang networks are disrupted nationwide.
But Project Shadowfire wasn't just about arresting gang members. It was about breaking criminal networks that exploit vulnerable people. Human smuggling. These gangs don't just traffic drugs, they traffic people. Migrants seeking better lives are packed into trucks, abandoned in the desert, held for ransom. During Project Shadowfire, HSI agents rescued dozens of smuggling victims. People who paid criminal organizations thousands of dollars only to be abandoned. Children separated from families. Women subjected to horrific conditions. Sex trafficking. The darkest side of these criminal enterprises. Women and children forced into exploitation. Held against their will. Threatened. Abused. Project Shadowfire targeted the traffickers. the gang members who recruit victims, the criminals who transport them, the ones who profit from human misery. Multiple sex trafficking rings were dismantled. Victims were removed from exploitation. Traffickers are now facing federal charges that carry decades in prison.
The drug trafficking operations exposed during Project Shadowfire reveal the scope of these gangs' reach. They're not independent operations. They're distribution arms for Mexican cartels. Cartel methamphetamine manufactured in Mexico, transported across the border, handed off to gang networks, distributed through U.S. cities. Street-level dealers are the visible face, but the real power is the organizational structure behind them. Wiretaps captured during the investigation reveal conversations about multi-kilo drug deals, code words for methamphetamine, instructions on delivery locations, discussions about cartel supply. Among the 1,133 arrested, gang shot callers, regional distributors, cartel liaisons. These aren't low-level street dealers. These are the organizers, the coordinators, the people running criminal enterprises worth millions. Federal prosecutors had been waiting. For months, grand juries had been reviewing evidence. Indictments were sealed. And when Project Shadowfire arrested 1,133 people, every one of them faced federal charges. The charges are severe: conspiracy to distribute controlled substances, human smuggling, sex trafficking, murder in aid of racketeering, firearms violations, RICO, racketeer-influenced and corrupt organizations, the law designed to take down organized crime. Federal mandatory minimum sentences mean many of these defendants are facing 10, 20, even life in federal prison. In federal courtrooms across America, Project Shadowfire defendants appeared for arraignment. Some pleaded guilty immediately, hoping for cooperation agreements. Others maintain innocence and will face trial. At a joint press conference, ICE, HSI, FBI, and DEA announced Project Shadowfire's success. 1,133 arrested, transnational criminal networks disrupted nationwide. So what does an operation like Project Shadowfire really accomplish? 1,133 arrests. Sounds like a lot, and it is. But there are thousands more gang members still operating. Criminal networks adapt. New members replaced arrested ones. But here's what Project Shadowfire really did. It disrupted coordination. Gang networks rely on established relationships between cities. When you arrest over 1,000 people simultaneously, those connections break. Trust evaporates. Operations halt. In the weeks after Project Shadowfire, violent crime dropped in targeted areas. Gang intimidation decreased. Residents felt safer. But law enforcement knows this is ongoing work. HSI agents continue investigating transnational criminal organizations. New operations are being planned. Intelligence is being gathered. Project Shadowfire isn't the end. It's part of an ongoing strategy. The transnational nature of these gangs requires international cooperation. U.S. agents work with partners in Mexico, Central America, and beyond. Information is shared. Coordinated actions are planned. This is modern law enforcement. Project Shadowfire, 1,133 arrests, 5 weeks, 50 states, every major city, multiple agencies working as one. Transnational criminal gangs disrupted, victims rescued, justice served. This is the reality of federal law enforcement in 2024. These operations happen constantly, but most never make headlines. Project Shadowfire is one of the largest, but it's part of a continuous effort to protect American communities from transnational crime. If this investigation fascinated you as much as it did me, hit that subscribe button right now. I cover real federal operations: ICE, FBI, DEA, Border Patrol, the stories that don't get mainstream coverage but need to be told. Drop a comment. What surprised you most about Project Shadowfire? The scale, the coordination, the types of crimes these gangs commit? And here's a question: should federal agencies conduct more operations like this, or should gang enforcement stay with local police? Let's discuss in the comments. If you want to see what happened when Border Patrol intercepted the largest fentanyl shipment in history, that video is right here. Or check out this one about ICE's raid on a cartel stash house in Texas. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.